All right, grab your Bibles and go to Genesis chapter 6. We've been on a series, and we'll probably be on it for a while. It's called Risk Takers. We first did the series, we were going through thinking, oh yeah, this person, and we have such a list of people in the Bible that were risk takers. But it's kind of cool because basically we're going through stories of the Bible, heroes of the Bible. So today we're going to talk about Noah. And, as I was studying this, it really, there was just some things that I thought, you know what? Noah was a risk taker. I mean, he was a risk taker. And we're going to, as we walk through this, we're going to find some things that we can learn from Noah because we're kind of living close to the days of Noah in some ways. So let me read Genesis chapter 6. I'm going to read verses 1 through 7 just to give you an idea of the world that Noah was living in. And it says, "Then the people began to multiply on the earth. The daughters were born to them. The sons of God saw the beautiful women and took any they wanted as their wives." Now, when you say sons of God, we're talking about angelic type things, more demonic type stuff. That was happening, and we'll get to that here in just a second. And it says, "My spirit will not put up with humans for such a long time, for they are only mortal flesh. In the future, their normal lifespan will be no more than 120 years." Now, for us, it's like, oh, wow, that's great. 120 years. But Noah lived to be like 900 and something years old. So, I mean, it was different back then. In those days, and for some time after, Nephilites lived on the earth, for whenever the sons of God had intercourse with women, they gave birth to children who became the heroes and famous warriors of ancient times. The Lord observed the extent of human wickedness on the earth. He saw that everything they thought or imagined was consistently and totally evil. So he's seeing the extent of evilness is everywhere on the earth. Everything that they're thinking about, constantly talking about, it's evil. So the Lord was sorry he had ever made them and put them on the earth. It broke his heart. And the Lord said, "I will wipe this human race I have created from the face of the earth. Yes, I will destroy every living thing, all the people, the large animals, the small animals that scurry along the ground, and even the birds of the sky. I'm sorry I ever made them." That's pretty harsh, isn't it? I mean, the world had gotten really, really evil. Now contrast this from Genesis 1. God sees and says, that's good. That is good. He sees creation. That's good. The animals he created, it is good. Mankind, it's good. Everything is good. And now he's at this place where he's saying, where it was worded, I'm sorry I ever even did this. Like there is so much wickedness that he's gonna wipe out every living creature. Now listen to verse 8. "But Noah." So you're talking about all the evil in the world. And then you get this verse. But Noah. In other words, there was something different. Something's different. This doesn't relate to the same. Like if you say, if you're talking about everyone can go but you. Okay, you're saying then you don't fit with them. And God is saying all this wickedness, the entire world, wicked. And it says, but Noah found favor with the Lord. Favor, grace, unmerited favor. Noah found with the Lord. So this is kind of the backdrop of where this is Noah's days. All right. So you find as we are reading, there's a lot of sexual perversion. There's demonic activity. There's constant evil in the hearts of man. As we read further into verse 11, it talks about this wide corruption and violence I mean, it's not a good place to live. But here's what it says about Noah in verse 9. This is the account of Noah and his family. Noah was a righteous man, the only blameless person living on the earth at the time. The only blameless person living on earth at the time. And he walked in close fellowship with God. Listen to this about Noah. Here's some points that we're going to talk with about Noah. First of all, Noah walked with God. He walked with God. You put yourself in the story. That's what we've been doing with these heroes, right? With these people that we're talking about, these risk takers. Put yourself in the story. It's not just the world you're living in that is so crazy and corrupt and so evil and wicked everywhere. And Moses is the only one that's living, what you would say, blameless. And that's his surroundings. And it says that he was righteous, which shows his heart. He was blameless, and he walked with God. He walked with God. You know what that means? They were in very close fellowship with one another. Very close. Hugh, will you join me up here? I want to explain to you the difference between when I want you to really understand what walking with God means, okay? Because if I walk with Hugh, I go wherever Hugh goes. Right? But if Hugh walks with me, he goes wherever I go. So if I go this way, Hugh goes this way. The reason why I'm telling you that is because so many times we look at it like God is walking with me. And if God is walking with you, then you're taking God wherever you want to go. It's different. You're supposed to walk with God. In other words, you wake up in the morning and say, God, where are we going? Because I'm following you. God, where are you taking me? If you're walking with God, you're going to find yourself around people who need God. You're going to find yourself around people who God wants to love on and minister to. But God is not someone that you just take with you and go live your life. It was intended that you give your life to God and that you follow him. And I can't judge for you, but you can. Do you walk with God? Or are you trying to get God to walk with you? Because what will make you blameless and righteous is when you walk with God. When you go where God goes. When you do what God says. When you follow God's lead. It's not saying, come on, God, let's do this. It's saying, God, I'll do whatever you do. I'll follow you wherever you go. That's where true strength comes from. That's where true relationships comes from. And the question you have to ask yourself today is, am I walking with God? Or am I asking him to walk with me? There's a difference. Noah walked with God, and he found favor with God. See, you got to Remember too, Noah, he was by himself. It's that much more difficult to decide to walk with God when no one else is. We can come here. People do it all the time. I'm not saying you. I'm saying people do it all the time. You can come in here and talk the Christian talk. You can come in here and sing. You can come in here and put your hands up. You can come in here and pray for people. Doesn't mean you're walking with God. Because if you're walking with God, then you're with God on Monday, and you're going with God on Tuesday, and you're going with God on Wednesday, and that whole week should look the same it does here on Sunday. That's where you have to ask yourself. How different would you be if the congregation followed you to work on Monday? How different would you be if I was standing with you while you did your job? When the boss tells you something or you don't agree with something, would what you say be different than what you say when no one else is around? Because that's when you can tell, look, am I walking with God? Is it changing me? Or am I walking with God when everyone else is walking with God? Because true walking with God means even if no one else does, I'm still doing it. I'm still following him. Noah walked with God. The second thing that he did is Noah talked with God. It says they were in close fellowship. Close fellowship means there's interaction. There's connection. When we talk about having fellowship, hey, let's get together and just fellowship. You know what we're doing? We're hanging out. We're talking. We're probably eating. We're getting to know each other. We're talking about how our day was, and we could be talking about all kinds of stuff. I keep saying Moses. Noah, if I call him Moses, I'm talking about Noah, okay? Noah was in communication with God. Do you know how you get to know someone? Is you talk to him and you listen to him. When Patty and I first started dating, we talked on the phone all the time. But we didn't have cell phones. This was before cell phones. So I could only go so far because I had a cord that was attached to the wall. And we would talk. For hours and hours, we would talk on the phone. Sometimes, I would call her or she would call me and it'd be like 7:30, 8 o'clock. And like 4 o'clock in the morning, we're hanging up. It's crazy. Now you can't stay up that late and talk anyway. But the thing is that's how you get to know people. You're not going to get to know someone if you don't listen to them and hear their story and hear what they're about. You don't get to know someone doesn't get to know you without you talking and sharing your story. Noah communicated with God, which means he listened and he talked. They were in close fellowship. That's part of walking with God. You just walk. And you talk while you're walking. It happens a lot. But you know what? I can tell you for me, Patty walks every morning. And she walks before Jesus is up. She's walking like early morning. I'll get out a little bit later. But there was one time where I thought, I'll walk with you. I'll walk with you. And I did not realize that I think you should classify walking as running if you're not walking normal. Like if you walk fast, that's running. So when you say, hey, you want to walk with me? That should be this. That shouldn't be, whew, because I can't go that pace out once I get past the driveway. That's it. But if I'm walking with Patty at a slow pace, and we're just walking to just go for a walk, or we're walking the dog or something like that, we're having conversation. We're walking. Well, there's people in our neighborhood walk all the time, and they're talking, and they're having conversation. That's how Noah was. He had conversations with God. He talked with God. If you want to know how to stand strong in the world we live in today, walk with God. Talk with God. That's how you're going to stand strong. Here's the third thing. Noah obeyed God even when it didn't make sense. So I'm going to keep reading here. It said in verse 9, I'm going to read verse 11. It says, now God saw the earth had become corrupt, filled with violence. God observed all this corruption in the world, for everyone on earth was corrupt. So God said to Noah, see, this is God talking to Noah, I have decided to destroy all living creatures, for they have filled the earth with violence. Yes, I'll wipe them all out along with the earth. This is what he tells Noah. Build a big boat. Build a large boat from cypress wood or gopher wood and waterproof it with tar inside and out. Then construct decks and stalls throughout its interior. So listen, he's telling Noah, I want you to build this huge boat. It had never rained before. Never. This idea of why in the world am I building a boat? But this is the part where you would think, okay, I can see Noah being like, well, all right. And then God describes the boat. Make the boat about 450 feet long. Listen, that's 1.5 football fields. If you've ever been to Carolina Panther Stadium or a football field, high school game, it's that whole field plus half of another one. 75 feet wide, 45 feet high. The peak of this roof is 30. 15 feet higher than that. That's how big this boat is. Leave an 18-inch opening below the roof, all the way around the boat. Put the door on the side. Build 3 decks inside the boat, lower, middle, and upper. Listen, nowhere in here does it talk about Noah being this builder. Doesn't say anything about that. But God says, build a boat, and here's how I want you to do it. And then he says, look, I'm about to cover the earth with a flood that will destroy every living thing that breathes. Everything on the earth will die, but I will confirm my covenant with you. So enter the boat, you and your wife, your sons and their wives. Bring a pair of every kind of animal, a male and female, into the boat with you. Keep them alive during the flood. Now he's got responsibilities in the boat to make sure all these animals stay alive. Pairs of every kind of bird and every kind of animal and every kind of small animal that scurries along the ground will come to you to be kept alive. So here's the thing about Noah. He's being told all of this, right? He's being told, I want you to build this huge boat. And Noah's like, okay, 450 feet? That's huge. Listen, there was no Lowe's. There was no Home Depot. There was no YouTube, how to build an ark. There's no Google. There was just, he had to get some sharp object and go cut trees down. This was a big task that God is telling him to do. And then he says, and I want you to build this big boat, but then I'm going to have animals and they're all going to come to you. In pairs, they're going to come to you. And Noah, it's in my head now. Noah is sitting there thinking, I have to build a boat, 3 decks in it, 450 feet, 45 feet tall, 75 feet wide, and then all these animals are going to come to me, and we're just going to get on the boat. And God's like, yep. That's kind of how the story went. I didn't say that there, but God said, yep, just like that. That's Noah. And he's willing to say, even if I don't understand, and even when I don't know how, if that's what you want me to do, I'll do it. Because if you read the verse 22, this is what it says. So Noah did everything exactly as God commanded. Everything. He started building. So he walked with God. He talked with God. He obeyed even when he didn't understand. And then here's the next thing Noah did. He stayed faithful when it took a long time. There's a lot of different time frames when people say it took the ark. But I'm not even going to try to guess exactly how long. But it took a long time. Some say 100 years. Some say that 120 years was when God said the lifespan would be 120 years. It was from there until the flood. Some say that. Some say it was 75 years. I don't know. But it was years and years and years and years that Noah's just being faithful. He's just being faithful. He's not seeing any rain. He's not seeing clouds. He's just being faithful. Imagine what it looks like. Put yourself in the story. He's the only one. There's evil everywhere. In First Peter, it talks about Noah being a minister and talking about righteousness and judgment and all this stuff. He's out here building an ark, building this huge boat. And I'm just going to tell you, for that many years, by the way, he was like 500 and some years old. All right? So, 500, building an ark. All right? Don't complain if you're 32 and you have to go pick something up. All right? I want to hear it. But here's the thing. He's building this ark. And he's bringing this wood. And he's doing everything the way God told him to do it. And you and I both know, if you're in that story, people are walking by. If your neighbor started building an ark, and he's building and building and building, at some point, you're going to talk about it. As much as you love Jesus, you're going to be like, what is that guy doing? What? He's talking about some kind of flood. What is rain? It hasn't even rained. I think he's out there. You know he's getting it. You know people are talking. You know he's already feeling like they think I'm crazy. And his message is like, y'all need to make a change. It's going to rain. A lot. A whole lot. I'm just telling you. But he's staying faithful. He's staying faithful. Imagine, it's going to take you a long time. And every day, he's staying faithful. And he keeps building for something he's never seen. Just because God said to. And when it wasn't something that happened, it wasn't like God said, hey man, go grab some sticks, get these animals, hang on, rain's coming. He's like, no, I want you to take time. I want you to build. It's going to be a long time. And people are going to talk. People are going to make fun of you. People are going to say things. And just endure and keep going. And that's what he does. He keeps going. And he keeps building. And he stayed faithful. See, I don't know about you, but if we were to be honest, after a couple years, I think I might be a little frustrated. I think I might be like, God, is this for real? Because I don't really know what I'm doing. And then I'd be nervous. Well, my family would be nervous. Is that thing going to float, Dad? I sure hope so. I hope I put enough tar on it. But you know what? There was something in him that even without understanding, without even knowing how, he's like, I'm just going to keep going. I'm just going to keep going. And he did. That's where you have to know when God speaks something to you. You just keep going. So you hit a roadblock. Something happened and it's trying to get you off course. I'm just going to tell you, you cannot steer a parked car. If the car is moving, you can steer it. God can guide you if you keep going. The second you throw in the towel and stop letting God help you and just stop moving in any direction, you're stuck. You're stuck. You can get in your car right now and not start it, turn your steering wheel all you want. You're not going to move. You're not going to turn left by turning your steering wheel left until you actually begin to move. Then you can turn it wherever you want to go. And Noah, this is crazy. Noah kept going. And any time on that journey, if he ever got discouraged or ever wondered or ever questioned, God could just remind him and help him stay the course because he keeps going. Quitting is the worst thing you could do when you face a difficult time. It automatically, you have just disqualified yourself from ever getting out of it. You will stay stuck if you quit. Noah's like, you know what? I don't understand. I don't know how, but I'm going forward with it. No matter how long it took. And then the last thing is, God's word came to pass. And the flood came. And in Genesis 7, verse 17 through 24, it says, "For 40 days the floodwaters grew deeper, covered the ground, and lifting the boat high above the earth. As the water rose higher and higher above the ground, the boat floated safely on the surface. Finally, the water covered even the highest mountains on the earth, rising more than 22 feet above the highest peak. All the living things on earth died, birds, domestic animals, wild animals, small animals that scurry along the ground, all the people, everything that breathed and lived on dry land died. God wiped out every living thing on the earth, people, livestock, small animals that scurry along the ground, the birds of the sky, all were destroyed. The only people who survived were Noah and those with him in the boat. And the floodwaters covered the earth for 150 days. So it wasn't just the rain, but then there was water everywhere. 150 days. This whole story is all, when you really look at it. See, I grew up in church. I grew up with a Noah's Ark blanket. Had all the little animals on it. You know, we were so spiritual that we sorted our animal crackers into pairs. Right? I mean, that's how we were, right? But I'm telling you that when you look at this story and you see this wicked world, evil, and the Lord is saying, you know what? I'm cleaning the house. And the people that are saved are the ones who are walking with me. It was just the one and his family. And they were saved. And when it came time, just as God promised, Noah said yes, and he started building it. When the day came that it was time for the rains to come, I can't imagine what it was like for Noah. I can't imagine what it was like for everybody else. When he's standing outside, just putting that last bit of tar on the final place. And then drip. Drip. Here it comes. And all of a sudden, here comes these animals. Elephants are like, me and you, let's go. We're going to Noah. The giraffes, hey, we gotta go find Noah. Snakes, why he had them, I don't know. There were some animals I thought I'd have just left them. Sorry, cats. Just kidding. All you cat lovers are now mad. It's a joke. Kinda. But here's the thing. All the animals, they showed up, just like God said. They all showed up. They all got on the boat. And Noah's family got on the boat. And God shut the door. And the rain and the flood came. And although it's a sad story for everyone who denied, and everyone who said no, and everyone who decided they're just going to live their own life and do their own thing, although it's very sad, I will tell you this, that Noah walked with God. And he talked with God. And he found favor with God when everything else was going down. And I'm going to close with this passage. Yes, I'm closing at 11 o'clock. Miracles do happen. Matthew 24, verse 37 through 44. When the Son of Man returns, listen to this. It'll be like it was in Noah's day. In those days before the flood, the people were enjoying banquets and parties and weddings right up to the time that Noah entered the boat. People didn't realize what was going to happen until the flood came and swept them all away. That is the way it'll be when the Son of Man comes. Two men will be working together in a field, and one will be taken, the other left. Two women will be grinding flour at the mill, one will be taken, the other left. So you too must keep watch, for you don't know what day your Lord is coming. Understand this, if a homeowner knew exactly when a burglar was coming, he would keep watch and not permit his house to be broken into. You must also be ready all the time, for the Son of Man will come when least expected. This originally wasn't in what I was going to talk about with Noah. But I do want you to know that your rescue, your safety comes when you accept Jesus and you walk with God. Because we are very close to the times where Noah was at. There is so much evil. There is so much perversion. It's everywhere in the world we live in. And your being a nice person isn't enough to save you. And you being a good person is not enough to save you. The only way you can be saved is choose to walk with God. That's the only way. When I was studying this, I just really felt compelled that there's people here that you're not walking with God. And you're in danger. Sounds harsh. I'm not trying to be harsh. God loves you. God loves you. And it's God's plan that all would come to know him. That's why he's patiently waiting for his return. But we need to be ready. You need to be ready. It's my desire that I would and that you would make the decision to not just say we love God, not just have the verses about God, but that we would walk with God. That we wouldn't ask God to walk with us anymore. Because if we're asking him to walk with us, we're leading. But say, God, we're going to walk with you. Because here's the deal. You got to be willing to do it alone. Because there was two groups in that story. There was one man, and there was a whole lot of people in the world, in the earth. And the one man was right. What he said was right. And everybody else, at some point, realized that. We should have listened to Noah. We should have. This isn't a fear fact. This isn't a fear thing. This is the reality of eternity. It's only through Jesus that you enter into eternity with God. That's it. Nothing else. Jesus says, I am the way, I'm the truth, I'm the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. But here's the good news. Whoever calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. If you confess with your mouth and believe in your heart that Jesus died and rose again, you will be saved. Which means you will be safe. That's our rescue. That's our hope. That just as Noah, when everything else, judgment was everywhere. Consequences of sin was everywhere. Except in the ark. Except where Noah was. Safe. Because he walked with God.